At our wedding, my husband's mahjong buddy texted him, saying they'd finished eating and were heading out to play all-night blood battle mahjong. It's your wedding night. What's the big deal? You've been sleeping together for years and still haven't had enough? Missing one night won't kill you. He replied with a sticker of a kitten, saying no. But after the ceremony, he looked visibly uncomfortable and said, "Babe, I just got called back to the lab for some emergency work. You must be exhausted today. Go to bed first, I'll be home as soon as I wrap things up." We had our wedding before getting our marriage license. In that moment, I realized there was no point in getting it anymore. That year, Dr. Ethan Grant, finished his PhD, and we ended our 10-year-long relationship with a wedding. After the reception, I came across a short video from a guest's perspective. The content creator didn't appear on screen, only a white hem of a dress was visible at the edge. The camera captured Ethan and me exchanging rings on stage, then cut to a conversation on his other phone. The comments section was already exploding. "You seriously wore a white wedding dress to someone else's wedding, Autumn? Why not just show up naked? Girl, I get it. I used to be that kind of homewrecker too, but you've taken it to a whole new level." To everyone's surprise, the creator wasn't angry at all. She even replied under that comment, "I'm just his mahjong buddy. If your heart is dirty, everything you see looks dirty." A mahjong buddy? And you asked the groom to go play mahjong on his wedding night? Do you not understand boundaries? Didn't you see that he already turned you down? The creator saw the comment and tagged an account called Why, asking, "Hey, you really rejected me?" That account had never posted anything, had a default avatar, and didn't respond. But my heart suddenly dropped. Half an hour earlier, Ethan had stood in our wedding suite, looking troubled, and said, "Something urgent came up at the lab. Have to go handle it. Babe, you must be tired, get some sleep. I'll come home right after I'm done." Ethan had always been passionate about his research. I was upset, but I didn't doubt him. Now, holding my phone, my mind was in chaos. It wasn't that I trusted Ethan unconditionally, it was just that something this outrageous happening to me was too much to comprehend. From freshman year to the end of his PhD, we had been together for 10 years. At our wedding earlier that day, we had read letters we wrote to each other. Usually calm and composed, he choked up while reading his. With red eyes, he said, "Zoe, just thinking that it'll be you by my side for the next few decades, it makes me feel insanely happy." Could someone who looked at me like I was his entire world really be lying to me? I looked at the diamond ring on my finger, changed out of my red reception dress, and got in a cab. The content creator had just posted another photo, this time of a mahjong table, with a location tag. "Game on. I'm not leaving tonight until I win back all the bride money our senior put on the table." Ethan's major had an extremely skewed male-to-female ratio. As far as I knew, his advisor hadn't accepted any female students in recent years. Suddenly, I remembered. Back when Ethan was in grad school, he once casually mentioned a younger girl from undergrad who had helped out in the lab over the summer. "She's kind of fun, not as gentle or pretty as you, loud and brash. I've never met a girl like her." He brought her up several times, but in the context of our years-long relationship, it didn't seem important, so I ignored it. On the photo of the mahjong table, there was a QR code with a room number. I stood outside the door and happened to see a woman bringing in tea, so I stepped to the side. The moment the door opened, laughter from both men and women spilled into the hallway. I clearly heard Ethan's voice. "Who told you to order chrysanthemum tea? That's a cold herb, you shouldn't drink it on your period." A girl replied, "Then I'll drink your black tea, happy?" Ethan said, "Rona, I already took a sip of that. Now you're stealing it? Whatever. Can't win with you." Then a guy joked, "It's your wedding night, man. Your wife's body today. Damn, we were all jealous. And you just ditched her like that?" Ethan said, "It's not like I haven't slept with her before. Besides, it's that idiot Zach's fault anyway." That sentence, just the first half, was enough to bring tears to my eyes. Ethan's tone was so off, there wasn't a trace of anger. If anything, it was relaxed, playful. That was when I realized just how much I had lost. "I've been exhausted all day," Autumn said. "Rona, come massage my shoulders and legs." "As you command, my dearest senior," she replied playfully. All of a sudden, I felt dizzy. I had to steady myself against the wall just to stay upright. I wiped away my tears, lowered my head, and took deep breaths, trying to calm myself. That's when my best friend messaged me. Babe, if this is really true, then what Ethan did is completely out of line. But that said, yeah, it's pretty bad, but they're playing mahjong with 4 people, not exactly alone together. Maybe you should observe a little longer. After all, you two just got married today. Her message helped me regain some sense of rationality. I did want to understand what had changed. This was Ethan, who for 4 years of college had shown zero interest in any other woman. Ethan, who during his grad school days risked being disciplined by the university during a pandemic just to cross provinces to see me. Ethan, who couldn't bring himself to spend money on a decent suit for himself before the wedding, but insisted on buying me a nearly $15,000 wedding dress I'd only wear once. What reason? What kind of relationship? What would make that Ethan lie to me on our wedding night and leave me to go be with another girl? I dialed Ethan's number, but hung up before he could answer. Almost immediately, he sent a message. "What's wrong, babe?" I didn't reply. Then he called, and the custom ringtone I had set for him started playing. It was our song, his one and only ringtone. At that exact moment, the noise inside the room fell silent, as if someone had hit pause. That was when I finally collected myself, walked to the door, and smiled as I asked, "So this is the overtime you were talking about?" In the 10 years we'd been together, Ethan had always been the calm and logical one. And yet today, he'd lost control twice. He suddenly stood up, his chair screeching against the floor as he rushed over to me. Panic was still flickering in his eyes. "Babe, don't misunderstand." "I'm not misunderstanding," I said flatly. "You're playing mahjong, aren't you? Nothing shameful about that. So why the panic?" Ethan replied carefully, "But today is our wedding day." I dropped the smile from my face and looked at him without expression. "Oh, so you do know that?" Ethan's lab mate chimed in, trying to smooth things over. "Please don't be mad, Zoe. It's Rona. She's in a tough place right now. Still job hunting after graduation. Super stressed. We were worried she might do something rash, so we just wanted to help her decompress a little with some mahjong." I turned to the girl named Rona. "You don't have any family, friends, girlfriends to keep you company? It had to be Ethan, the guy who got married today?" Before Rona could answer, Ethan gently squeezed my palm and said, "Rona's thesis was in the same area as mine. I'm better equipped to talk her through it. Babe, you know how hard graduation season is at our school. You wouldn't want to see something bad happen to a person, would you?" "Sorry, Zoe," Rona added. "I wasn't thinking. Didn't mean to upset you." Her words sounded polite, but there wasn't even a hint of apology in her eyes. If anything, she looked slightly smug. I took a deep breath, pulled up a chair, and sat down. "Great. I've got nothing to do either. I'll join you." Rona blinked in surprise, then grinned. "You know how to play?" "I taught Ethan how to play mahjong, you know." That line caused a flicker of discomfort to pass over Ethan's face. Back in our junior year, when Ethan was about to meet my parents for the first time during Chinese New Year, I'd teased him. "My mom and dad are obsessed with mahjong. If you play with them, maybe you'll leave a good impression." He had smiled politely but turned me down without hesitation. "Sorry, Zoe. I'm not into that kind of thing. I'll just watch you guys play." Later, in grad school, he suddenly picked it up. He told me the pressure from research was overwhelming, and most of his classmates relieved stress either through working out or playing mahjong. So I didn't think much of it. After college, I went to a grad school in another province, while Ethan stayed at the same university for a combined master's and PhD. Even though we were long distance. Even when we were in a long-distance relationship, I never made a habit of checking up on him or monitoring where he was. But it wasn't until this very moment that I suddenly realized the long, steady relationship I thought we had, the one where I gave him his space and respected his boundaries, had already started to crumble beneath the calm surface. Storms had been brewing, and I never saw them. Ethan lit a cigarette and took a long drag. As he exhaled the smoke, I frowned and coughed softly. He snapped out of it like waking from a dream. "Don't smoke. Zoe doesn't like the smell," he said quickly. "And we're trying to conceive, remember?" He stubbed it out immediately, opened the window, and began apologizing while waving the smoke away. I shook my head and walked straight to the mahjong table. I sat directly to Ethan's left, with Rona on his right. Ethan kept glancing at my expression, trying to read me. The air in the room felt strange, unnaturally calm but tense beneath the surface. He hadn't expected me to actually take the game seriously, but I did. Rona tossed out the 9-dot tile and casually said, "You two just got married. Why the rush to have a kid?" Then she turned to Ethan and added, "Zoe was already under a lot of stress in grad school and developed PCOS. The doctor said the earlier she tries, the better." She wasn't wrong. During my second year of grad school, my period had been delayed for 3 months, and I'd suddenly gained 10 pounds. I was terrified, thinking maybe we hadn't been careful the last time we saw each other. I nervously scheduled an appointment and messaged Ethan, hoping he could come with me to the hospital, but Ethan was preparing for a major competition at the time. He called me via video chat, apologetic but firm. "I'm so sorry, Zoe. Our advisor won't let me take off right now. I promise I'll come as soon as the competition ends, okay?" I'd been so scared and upset then that I even considered breaking up with him. Fortunately, the test results showed it was a false alarm. And true to his word, the moment the competition ended, Ethan rushed over, couldn't get a high-speed rail ticket, so he rode a green train for 7 hours just to see me. When I saw him, he was scruffy and exhausted, but the moment he wrapped me in his arms, he whispered, "I'm so sorry, Zoe. This was all my fault. I shouldn't have let you go through that alone." Thinking back on it now just made everything feel so ironic. Back then, he couldn't be with me for a medical appointment because the competition and his advisor were too important. But tonight, on our wedding night, he'd lied to me just to spend time playing games with his junior. He wasn't afraid of making me upset. Or maybe he thought that now that the wedding was done, we were officially tied together. And even if I found out the truth and got angry, what could I really do? I was still lost in thought when Rona suddenly said, "Zoe, once you have a baby, the pressure on Ethan to earn money for formula is gonna skyrocket, huh?" Then she glanced at my chest and added, not so subtly, "But with your figure, I bet you'll manage just fine." My face instantly dropped. I snapped coldly, "Watch your mouth. Don't make crude jokes at your sister-in-law." Rona pouted. "I was just being nice. That's how I usually am. Just a jokester. No sense of boundaries. Don't take it personally, Zoe." I let out a soft laugh. "Oh, I know. If you had boundaries, Ethan and I wouldn't be in a mahjong parlor on our wedding night instead of in the bridal suite." Okay, let's just keep playing," Ethan said as he discarded a tile. Then he leaned toward me and whispered, "Babe, whatever punishment you want to give me later, I'll take it. But Rona's been out of it lately. She's really been under a lot of pressure. I know I messed up, but the situation was special, urgent. Could you cut the girl some slack, just for tonight?" I turned to him and asked, "Is her pressure something I caused? Why should I be the one swallowing my anger to make room for her?" Rona chimed in, "Hey, what are you two whispering about? You're not peeking at each other's tiles, are you?" Then she tilted her head, eyes gleaming mischievously. "Ethan, you just threw a 1-dot. Does that mean you don't want that tile either? Come on, give it to me." Ethan chuckled. "Which one? I'm not going easy on you." She grinned and said, "That one." Then she cupped her hands in front of her chest, making 2 circles to mime the tile shape. And Ethan looked, reflexively. His Adam's apple shifted slightly as he discarded the 2-dot tile. "Yes, I win," Rona squealed, slapping her tile's face up on the table and nearly leaning against Ethan in excitement. She patted his arm gleefully. "Pay up, senior." It's hard to describe what I was feeling at that moment, but one thing I knew for certain, if I didn't do something right then, I would have wasted over 20 years of my life. "That's enough," I said, suddenly rising to my feet. I shoved all the mahjong tiles across the table with force. Rona's teacup, sitting near the edge, tipped and spilled its contents all over her arm. "Ow!" she cried out, clutching the arm where the hot tea had scalded her. Large tears rolled down her cheeks as she looked at me, hurt and aggrieved. "Zoe, what did I ever do to you? If I upset you by hanging out with Ethan, you could have just said so. Why sit down to play and then flip out like this?" "Are you okay, Rona?" Ethan rushed to check her arm, cradling it with concern. Then, before I could even speak, he turned on me, shouting, "Zoe, that was way out of line. This whole night was just to help Rona de-stress. You're not even close to her. No one invited you. You forced your way into this game, and now you're turning over the table? Just because I let her win a round? The vein at his temple was pulsing. Apologize to her. Now. I laughed bitterly. Sure, here's your apology. Then, with all the strength I had, I slapped him hard across the face. You okay, Ethan? One of his friends gasped. Ethan stood frozen, stunned, his cheek slowly turning red with the shape of my hand. He looked at me in disbelief. Before the shock had worn off, I grabbed Rona by the strap of her sundress and smacked her too. Zoe, calm down, she shrieked. What are you doing? You can't just hit people. Ethan's two male lab mates jumped up, one rushing to comfort Rona, the other glaring at me. What's wrong with you? One said. You're really gonna hit people over a harmless game on your wedding night? Oh, you think it's harmless? I snapped. Calling the groom out on his wedding night to play mahjong, using your chest to signal which tile you want to a married man, and you're still acting like the victims here? I was shaking all over. I thought of the videos I saw earlier in the cab, Rona's TikTok posts, her smug smile, the way she angled the camera just right to show off that white dress at my wedding. I swept my gaze across the four of them, Ethan, Rona, and his two sycophantic friends. Two simps. One manipulative flirt. One man pretending not to know better. You four can stop hiding behind the excuse of being mahjong buddies. Just admit what this is. You're disgusting. Stay away from normal people. Zoe, Ethan grabbed my hand, trying to hold on. Rona and it's not what you think. I messed up. I didn't handle things well. But it's not as bad as you're making it out to be. He sighed deeply. I won't ask you to apologize. I know you're overwhelmed right now. Let's go home and talk about it, just the two of us, okay? I looked at Ethan, the man who had walked with me from college to career, who had been with me from youth into adulthood. At some point, he had rotted from the inside out, and I had been too blind to see it. Maybe I had been romanticizing the past, forcing a lens of nostalgia over him. I kept overlooking all those small signs that something wasn't right. Until it finally exploded today. Ethan, did you forget? I asked coldly. Next month, on the 7th, it's our anniversary. He froze, his expression slowly turning panicked. We had planned the wedding first and agreed to register on our anniversary. But now? There was no point in getting the marriage license anymore. I yanked my hand free. Ethan, we're done. Then I turned and walked out. He followed a few steps behind, but when Rona whimpered, "It still hurts," he stopped. Something inside me cracked wide open. It was May, but I felt like icy wind was blowing straight into my chest, so cold it was unbearable. I didn't go back to the bridal suite. It was already late. I didn't want to throw my parents into an emotional roller coaster, so I wandered into a McDonald's and took a seat by the window. Just then, a close friend sent me a wedding video she had edited. The animated figures welcoming guests at the entrance were characters from my favorite anime, and the stage was decorated with stacks of things I loved most. During the interactive game segment, Ethan had effortlessly answered 10 questions, all about me, one after another, without hesitation. I stared at the screen in silence as my vision began to blur. My friend messaged me, "You and Ethan are the most beautiful example of love I've ever seen. You two have to keep being happy." I was overwhelmed with emotions, unable to reply. Then my phone buzzed again, another notification. This time it was from Rona's account. She had replied to a comment. They didn't even register their marriage, just held a ceremony. Wanna guess why? His girlfriend majored in liberal arts. After graduation, she barely makes a few $1,000 a month, basically living off my senior. But I'm from Huangling Tech, engineering royalty. If he picked me, that would be a true power couple. They've been together 10 years. He's probably tired of her by now. It's just responsibility keeping him there. If he really loved her, why would he be with me tonight? Other users were raging in the comments. Don't just blame the side chick. If the guy didn't give her signals and allow her in, none of this would have happened. That guy's no good either. Check out her other videos, he's all over them. Total scumbag. Leave the poor wife alone. Rona's account was full of everyday clips, and nearly every one included Ethan. Stayed on campus for summer. Met an amazing senior. One of the rare, clean-cut, handsome guys in the engineering school. And so sweet too. Hey, ran into him at school today. Those shoes though, so ugly. In the screenshot she posted, she had messaged Ethan. "Senior, those shoes today weren't your style. Don't wear them again." Ethan had replied, "If Jang has such great taste, help me pick a new pair then." But those shoes. I had bought them for Ethan with my scholarship money, as a Valentine's Day gift. A few months later, Rona posted a group photo taken at a basketball court. All the faces were blurred, but it was obvious she was the only girl. Her body leaned toward Ethan, and her hands made half of a heart. Ethan was standing beside her, giving a thumbs up. They were wearing matching sneakers, same style, different colors. Then came screenshots from her social feed. In one, Rona was griping about a paper getting a low grade. Ethan had commented, "Your academic level in front of the professor is like a toddler in a diaper." Rona had shot back, "Oh, and what? Yours is like showing up naked?" A few days later, she posted a video asking, "Did Senior wear clothes to class today, according to the ethics book?" While Ethan and I were in a long-distance relationship, I had rejected every guy who showed interest in me. I was completely devoted to our future. Meanwhile, he and Rona were meeting up for meals, bringing each other bubble tea, sharing playlists. In the most recent screenshot, Ethan asked Rona if she wanted to come to the wedding. She replied, "Why would you think I didn't want to?" Ethan dodged the question. "As long as you show up, no need to bring a gift." I scrolled mindlessly, eyes fixed on a photo. The fried chicken and fries in front of me had gone cold, giving off a greasy, stale smell. I suddenly turned my head and gagged, slapping my hand over my mouth. I felt sick, absolutely sick. Life sure has a twisted sense of humor. Just hours ago, I'd thought I was the happiest woman in the world. And now, everything I believed about the man I thought I'd spend my life with had come crashing down into ruins. At 8 a.m., I returned to my parents' house. The moment I opened the door, my mom's smile froze at the corners of her eyes. Nan, what happened?" I thought I'd hidden it well, but she saw right through me in an instant. "Our daughter-in-law is back," said a voice behind her. Ethan's parents. They were in my house, first thing in the morning. Last night, I'd booked a hotel room and slept there. Ethan had called me dozens of times. I blocked Ethan immediately. His guilty conscience probably stopped him from telling our families what had happened last night. I sat quietly on the couch as my dad brought over a cup of hot tea. Ethan's mom smiled warmly at me and said, "Zoe, I know you're a top graduate student, but let's be honest, liberal arts won't get you very far. We're not expecting you to earn much. Once you two register your marriage, Ethan can get you a job doing admin work at a university. I hear it's easygoing for faculty spouses. Ethan will handle things outside the home, and you focus on taking care of the house and having a healthy baby boy. You're so gentle. It's clear you'll be a wonderful wife and mother." I calmly took a sip of tea. "Ma'am, I'm not planning to go." She blinked, stunned. "Not going? But you were calling me Mom just yesterday over tea. Why are you calling me ma'am now?" Before I could answer, the doorbell rang, followed by a frantic knock. Ethan appeared at the door, breathless. He hadn't even changed clothes. His shirt was wrinkled, his face unshaven. It had only been one night, but he looked like a completely different person. "Zoe." Our parents sensed something was wrong, and the room filled with tension. I looked at him. "You want to say it, or should I?" "I really only see her as a junior. I swear I'll keep my distance from now on." "Please, Zoe, I won't do anything to make you angry again," he said, nearly begging. "I just didn't handle things well. I didn't cheat. You can't sentence me to death over this." "So you knew the whole time," I said slowly. "You knew what you were doing would upset me, and you still did it." I handed my phone to my parents, then looked at Ethan. I found Rona's video account. His face drained of color as if he suddenly remembered something. His fingers curled tightly, nails digging into his palm. I took a deep breath and continued, "Remember when I missed my period for 3 months? I was scared, thought I might be pregnant. I asked you to come with me to the doctor, and you said the competition was too important, you couldn't leave. But Ethan, didn't that competition end the day before you said it would?" The nausea and pain I'd felt the night before came rushing back. One of the photos Rona had posted showed 2 bowls of noodles. So lucky to attend the competition with my amazing senior. We even got to try the most famous seafood noodles on Weishi. Too bad the shop was closed yesterday, but senior saw I was disappointed and stayed an extra day to wait with me. Hey. The timestamp, the exact day I went to the OBGYN. That day, I sat alone on a disinfectant-scented bench, nervous and terrified, waiting for test results. Ethan knew how scared I was, and still chose to lie to me, just so he could stay in City A and eat noodles with a girl who called him Senior. Zoe, what are you two talking about? My dad asked. Did he do something to hurt you? I'll deal with him. Ethan's father looked meek and powerless, his raised hand hesitating in midair. I gave a faint smile. Not officially, no, but what he's done is more than enough to end our relationship. My parents studied the videos on my phone in silence. When my dad's hand started to rise, I quickly stopped him. Dad, calm down. Let me handle this. If I hit him, it's just a family conflict. Half, I said. But if you do it and he files a report, you could end up paying for it. It's not worth it. Right after I spoke, I slapped Ethan twice. His head jerked to the side. His eyes welled up with anguish. Zoe, go ahead, hit me. If that's what it takes for you to forgive me, I'll take it. Even if you want your dad to beat me within an inch of my life, I'll accept it. But please, don't see me this way. You know I'm not that kind of person. I never meant to hurt you. I smiled, sharp and cold. I thought I knew who you were. That's how you managed to fool me for so many years. But I don't want to be the fool anymore. My parents' expressions turned icy as they stood and ordered Ethan's family to leave. His parents, panicked, started defending him, but I cut in with just one sentence. After the wedding ended last night. He lied about working overtime, but in reality, he was out playing mahjong with a junior who had a crush on him. Ethan's parents, like ducks being choked by the neck, immediately went silent. Anyone with a normal sense of right and wrong would find that single act enough to clearly judge who's at fault. But since it was their own son, they still tried to plead for him. Ethan just got a little confused, his mother said. You two just got married yesterday. All your friends and family came. It would be such a shame to fall apart now. Can't you give him another chance? I smiled. No. I wasn't going to wait until things got truly irreversible before I regretted everything. That afternoon, my parents went with me to the hospital. When I received the test results, I let out a long sigh of relief. I was both unlucky and lucky. Lucky that I hadn't yet been bound by a marriage license, and that no new life had started to grow inside me. I walked out of that hospital in time before it was too late. I opened Rona's account. Netizens were frantic. Come on, algorithm. Push this to the bride. The one who got married on May 1st at hotel name, your husband's flirting with his junior. I replied beneath the comments, thanks, I saw it. Within moments, comments flooded in. Good for you, girl. That kind of trash isn't worth mourning. Everyone, screenshot everything. The homewrecker's starting to delete videos. Apparently, Ethan had warned her. Rona's videos started disappearing fast until her account finally went private. But what neither of them realized was that while I was crying last night, I had also been screen recording everything. Later, she changed her profile bio to, I have depression. If something happens to me from all this bullying, you're all murderers. Ethan showed up again downstairs at my building. Zoe, yell at me, hit me, do whatever you want. But Rona is still young. She just doesn't know any better. Those people online are out of control. They've dug up all her personal information. Some are even spreading lies. You hit her last night, she's already paid the price. She doesn't deserve this. Can you help clear her name online? I honestly thought I'd misheard. The sheer absurdity of it was almost laughable. I had believed I could stay calm by now, but hearing this still made my chest ache. I looked him in the eye and asked, word by word, she didn't post those videos herself? She didn't take those photos? She didn't write those captions or say those flirty things? Now that someone has called her out for her twisted behavior, she can't handle the backlash? And I, the one she hurt, I'm supposed to defend her? But you used to be so kind, he started. I was kind, I said, but I'm not a saint. You said she's just young and doesn't know better. But what about you? Don't you know better? If you hadn't enabled her, encouraged her, and kept crossing the line, how could she have kept up that solo performance all this time? You, Ethan, are the real culprit here. When my parents found out Ethan had come again, they were furious and cursed him out. To make me feel better, they took me out to a fancy meal. We strolled for a long time along the riverbank afterward. That night, I posted a statement on social media announcing the end of my relationship with Ethan. Our friends and family, who had just attended our wedding, were stunned. Ethan's parents called again. "We're both respectable families," his mother pleaded. "How could you divorce the day after the wedding? The whole neighborhood will talk. Zoe, your uncle and aunt have always treated you well. Can't you consider us too?" She added, "How about this? Let Ethan take you shopping for some gold or designer bags. We'll even add your name to the deed of the new apartment. Would that help?" I replied, "This relationship didn't end because I did something wrong. Why should I feel ashamed? The one who disgraced your family was your son. If you're so concerned about appearances, maybe ask him why, when he did those things, he didn't think about how it would reflect on you." My dad grabbed the phone and hung up. Then he blocked the number. My mom muttered quietly, "They do have a point though. You two just got married. I'm worried that if people hear about all this, it might make it hard for you to find someone in the future." "So what?" I said. My dad looked at both of us seriously and said, "Why should we worry about the reputation of a man who was never worthy of being part of our family in the first place? Zoe, from the time you were born, your mom and I never once scolded you harshly. But while we weren't watching, another man made you suffer so much. All I wanted was for my daughter not to keep suffering. I didn't care about saving face. My eyes stung, and I quickly turned my head away, letting the river breeze sweep away the tears that hadn't yet fallen. Suddenly, I felt pressure on both sides of my body. Dad hooked his arm through mine, and Mom wrapped hers around my shoulders from the other side. In perfect unison, they said, "Zoe, whatever you decide, we support you. As long as you're happy." When the holiday ended, I submitted my resignation to the company. Ethan still hadn't given up. It seemed he'd finally gained some clarity. He stopped pleading on Rona's behalf and instead tried every way he could think of to win me back. He had already reported to the university he was hired at. It was all the way across the city from where I lived, north and south ends. Every morning, he came to my building to bring me breakfast as I headed out for my morning run. At night, he crossed the city again to come back. If I didn't agree to see him, he just sat downstairs and waited. He did this for over half a month. The dark circles under his eyes had deepened. So today, I came downstairs and called out to him. His eyes lit up until he heard me say, "Don't come here again." Ethan stammered, "Zoe, I missed out on so much time with you when we were long distance. Let me make it up to you now. I'll double it, okay?" I shook my head, but I don't need that anymore. Dad, standing just behind me, snorted harshly through his nose and let out a cold laugh. "Why didn't you do all this before, huh?" "Sweetheart," Ethan started. "Don't call her that, you little punk." Dad snapped. I held Dad back and told him to go home first so I could speak to Ethan alone. He went upstairs, clearly displeased, and before long I saw the upstairs light flick on. I glanced up. Dad was leaning by the window, glaring down at us. I exhaled slowly. "Ethan, there shouldn't be any financial disputes between us. We'll each return the wedding gifts our families received. I'll return the bride price. The apartment is in your family's name, and the car and dowry are still with me. We never registered the marriage." He stared at me, eyes fixed. Then suddenly his eyes turned red. "Zoe, it's been 10 years. I've never once thought about leaving you. Everything I said at the wedding, I meant it. As for Rona..." He hesitated. "She's just a junior who looked up to me. She was enthusiastic, and I didn't want to shut her out coldly. We got to know each other. I only ever saw her as a female friend. I never crossed any lines. I don't even like her like that. Right, if he really liked Rona, why would he have married me? But that's the classic move, isn't it? First step after success, ditch your long-term girlfriend and chase someone younger." He'd earned a PhD and landed a university job. Leaving the woman who'd stuck with him through everything for a bright, fresh junior wasn't exactly unheard of. But no, that wasn't it. He didn't want to leave me. He wanted both. The warmth of a girlfriend of 10 years and the excitement of being adored by someone new. Day after day, he got used to my steady love. But the passion and admiration from a young student stirred something deeper in him. And as long as he didn't cross a hard line, didn't confess, didn't kiss, didn't sleep with her, he convinced himself it wasn't wrong, that it could all be excused. But Ethan, Did you really think that as long as you didn't say sweet nothings, as long as you didn't do something physically intimate, then every little moment you gave her, every chance you let her slip into your life, could just be written off like nothing? You're not clueless. You just took a gamble. You pretended not to know, because you were hoping I'd never leave. You thought, after 10 years of being so deeply entangled, how could I ever walk away? But look, I just did. And it wasn't even that hard, was it? I figured I had made myself clear enough and turned to head upstairs. But Ethan grabbed my wrist and refused to let go. We haven't even been together since grad school started, he choked out. I was just lonely. I know I messed up, seriously, deeply messed up. But I've already told the school to assign you to an administrative role. I'll focus on getting research grants, publishing papers. We can spend every day together. You can keep an eye on me, supervise me, okay? His voice cracked. He was nearly in tears, as if losing me really pained him that much. Please don't give up on me, Ethan begged. I won't ever speak to Rona again. Just give me one last chance. But what I was thinking was, if it really hurt him to lose me, then he never would have done all those things that risked losing me in the first place. I shook my head. You still think this is just about Rona? Once that passionate little junior is gone, what then? You'll meet a graceful and intellectual colleague, then a bright-eyed, playful student. Once your heart starts to waver, you're no longer someone I can trust. The boy who once had eyes only for me, he died a long time ago in my memories. Ethan, back then I didn't choose to attend the same school as you. I went to a university with a stronger liberal arts program. That should have told you. I never planned on clinging to the safe harbor you built. We both love children, and because of health reasons, I wanted to have one early. The pressure of preparing for exams was heavy, so I chose to work right after graduation. I loved you back then, so I was willing to compromise a little for our family. But now that this is over, it's time I truly walked my own path. The evening breeze was chilly. I refused the jacket Ethan tried to drape over my shoulders and firmly pulled my hand away from his. He was left standing there alone, a solitary figure. Soon after, someone forwarded me Ethan's latest post on his Moments feed. Just a fight. Zoe's just emotional. Thanks, everyone, for your concern. I'll make it right. He still didn't want to give up, but I no longer cared to respond. After quitting my job, I focused fully on preparing for my doctoral applications 4 months out. A few nights later, I received a call from an unknown number. Hello, Zoe? I'm Ethan's friend. He drank too much and kept calling your name. Can you come pick him up? Right before I hung up, I vaguely heard Ethan's slurred voice through the chaos, calling my name. Then Rona's voice followed, soft and pleading. Ethan, she doesn't want you anymore. Can't you turn around and look at me? I've always liked you. I don't want you. Leave, he shouted. Not long after, Rona suddenly messaged me privately. Since you're breaking up with him anyway, don't keep giving him false hope. Let him move on. I replied, that depends on your ability. Before worrying about others, maybe make sure you're even going to graduate. That clearly struck a nerve. She suddenly changed the subject. Zoe, didn't Ethan help you get a vaccine slot 2 years ago during the shortage? Before I could respond, she sent a screenshot of a chat. In the screenshot, she said, thanks for helping me get the COVID vaccine, Ethan. I love you. We even breathe in sync. Back then, vaccine appointments were nearly impossible to get. I'd found a tip-off about a small program that occasionally had slots open, and I asked Ethan to help me try. But when the portal opened, the slots were gone in seconds. He told me he'd tried but failed. In Rona's screenshot, she had written, you forgot about your girlfriend's appointment because you were helping me, right? Won't she be mad? Ethan replied, didn't they say the vaccine only works before you get infected? She's already had it. It won't make much difference. You've never dated anyone. Once you've had the shot, I can rest easy. Rona responded, heh, I'd like to date. Depends if the guy's willing. Every word oozed with smugness. See? She wrote, you only beat me because you showed up earlier. Ethan doesn't care about your body. He doesn't care about your feelings. He stopped loving you a long time ago. He's just used to you. Once he realizes that, you'll be dumped anyway. Might as well leave now before you get kicked to the curb. I sat there for a long time, stunned, before I finally snapped out of it. And when I did, I just found it laughable, like some kind of twisted joke. So much had already hit me in such a short time. One more blow didn't even faze me anymore. If she'd sent this earlier, maybe it would have hurt. But now, I heard Ethan had finally cut ties with Rona, blocked her on every platform. No wonder she couldn't hide her growing desperation. I thought for a moment, then typed back. Even without me, your senior still doesn't want you. It was just flirting. Did you really think you could win him over? That night, I had instinctively recorded audio of their conversation. Now, it would come in handy. Fueled by anger, I hit send on a voice message. Look, he even got drunk over me. You're in such a rush, huh? Then I'm not gonna let you win. Fine, I'll take a cab there right now. If you've got what it takes, come stop me. In the recording, I had Ethan's voice saying, I never liked Rona. Even if you don't want me anymore, I'd still never choose her. The other side went silent for a long time. After I sent it, I flipped my phone over and went back to reading and reviewing academic papers as usual. After showering and getting ready for bed, my phone buzzed again. It was a selfie, Rona lying in bed next to a clearly passed out Ethan. The caption read, He's in bed with me now. He has to take responsibility. You two are over. I started screen recording immediately, and in my heart, thanked her. Thank you for personally handing me the final, crucial piece of evidence. That night, I compiled all the recordings, screenshots, and chat logs into a PowerPoint presentation. I posted it online and also sent it to the disciplinary committee of the university where Ethan was about to start teaching. Just like Ethan had said before, no matter how much pain he caused me, if you judged it solely by conduct and technical rules, he probably hadn't crossed the line into violating professional ethics. At most, internet users would curse him out for a few days, and it wouldn't seriously affect his future. But now, everything had changed. Originally, I just wanted to get solid proof from him, something tangible. I didn't expect him to panic and act recklessly, handing me the final brick that completed the case against him. Ethan and I had already held our wedding. The only thing left was to register the marriage. He hadn't announced our separation on social media either. Now, this clearly met the standard for cheating. One of Rona's earlier videos had gone semi-viral, so public attention flared quickly. She loved sharing intimate moments and interactions with Ethan, and soon someone dug up her alternate Red Yam, Chinese social media account. In one of her posts, she bragged, "Graduated from college. My lab partner did all the work, he gave me the data, wrote the paper. I just stood there giggling and saying, 'Senior, you're amazing.'" She even posted a pic of a journal acceptance email with the caption, "He even helped me write my thesis." Today, I consulted my academic temptress. Before long, someone found out that Rona had earned her graduate school recommendation through that same paper, one that only bore her name. Originally, the worst-case scenario was that Ethan would lose his appointment at that university. He could still apply to a slightly less prestigious school. But now, with academic misconduct in the picture, once the university investigated, his entire academic career might be at risk. The next time I saw Ethan, the grief in his eyes from before had turned to indignation and blame. "Zoe, I thought we agreed to part peacefully," he said bitterly. "Why are you trying to destroy me now?" I furrowed my brows. "You're seriously accusing me of being cruel, when you're the one who crossed the line again and again? Actions have consequences, Ethan. You brought this on yourself." Public opinion exploded online and off. People were glued to the drama. LOL, they're not even pretending anymore. I'm bald from all the revisions on my thesis, and this chick just flirts and gets everything handed to her? You think you've got it bad? I'm in the same major as the PDF queen. She was up before 8 every day, busy with student council and competitions, while Rona posted food pics every day, and she still got the top paper score? I got bumped off the guaranteed grad school list, and now I'm stuck grinding for the entrance exams. I hate them both. One user added, "I've wanted to speak out for a long time, but I didn't know the real girlfriend. Now I do." Another, "I'm Ethan's classmate in the PhD program. Everyone knows his lab had a wife on the side. It was gross." Who says life doesn't have an audience? Just as the scandal was peaking, people started posting sightings of Ethan and Rona. Rona had gone to the university and was clinging to him, crying, yelling, "I gave you my first time, you have to take responsibility." But Ethan had no intention of taking responsibility, especially now that he'd lost his job. How could he possibly be in a good mood? He lost control and pushed her. Rona fell and fractured a bone. She called the police. After Ethan was taken into custody, Rona started crying and yelling at the police. I was just trying to scare him a little. Why did you lock him up? I don't care. I don't care. I'm the one involved, and I'm not pressing charges. What right do you have to keep him detained? If he ends up homeless because of this, then there's no way we'll ever be together. He almost got charged with obstruction of justice too. When Ethan finally emerged, exhausted, disheveled, and defeated, days had passed. He didn't exactly hate Rona, but he definitely wanted nothing more to do with her. Whenever he saw her, it was like he'd seen a ghost. All he said was, "My biggest regret in life is letting you talk me into leaving that night after the wedding. If it weren't for you, my entire life, my career, none of it would have ended up like this." No matter how tangled they once were, I no longer had the energy or interest to keep paying attention. Starting in September, I focused on preparing my PhD applications, research proposals, personal statements, letters of recommendation. Even though I was applying years after graduation, the research I did during my master's was substantial and solid. Time passed quickly, and though it was tight, my life moved forward steadily. In May of the following year, I received an acceptance letter from the program I had most hoped for. And it was around then that I heard about Rona again. She had gone viral online, again. The previous scandal had wrecked her ability to focus on writing her thesis. She didn't have a second faculty mentor to help her. And even though the school had been willing to give her another chance, she ended up walking away with nothing more than a certificate of completion. She relied on her undergrad degree to land a job at an ordinary company, but she was so used to getting things handed to her that she didn't know how to function. She ended up having an affair with a married supervisor, and when his wife caught them in the act at work, she beat Rona up on the spot. Someone filmed the whole scene and posted it online. Netizens had a field day. Had a crush on your drill instructor during training, liked your senior in school, chased after your boss at work. Girl, you really don't want to take a single detour, huh? With Rona back in the headlines, people naturally started wondering what had become of the other main character, Ethan. "I'm in the same PhD program as the guy," one comment read. "He's actually pretty capable in his field, so once this blew up, of course his rivals jumped at the chance to destroy him. Between the academic fraud and the behavior issues, not to mention doing time, it's over. No halfway decent school would touch him now." Apparently, he'd ended up in the workforce too. What a coincidence, at a company in the same tech park as Rona's. And just like before, she latched onto him again. His parents had been trying to set him up on blind dates, but every single time, Rona showed up and ruined it. One commenter wrote, "The only decent thing that girl ever did was keep a scumbag like him from hurting another innocent woman." That year, I ran into Ethan and Rona again. I was out to dinner with my parents when a loud commotion broke out at the other end of the restaurant. I turned to look, completely unprepared to see Ethan again. During our wedding, we'd read letters to each other. He had once been the clean-cut, handsome standout among the sea of guys in our engineering school. Now, he had gained weight. His beard was unshaven, the corners of his mouth drooped, and a deep crease sat permanently between his brows. Next to him was Rona, clinging to his arm. Her once bubbly look had withered, her face sharp and bitter. She glared at Ethan. "I cook and clean for you every day," she hissed. "I thought you were finally ready to accept me, and now I find out you're going on blind dates? You scumbag." The woman sitting across from him looked both unimpressed and alert. She grabbed her purse and started to leave. Surrounded by all the curious stares, Ethan finally snapped. He grabbed Rona by the hair and shouted, "You think I begged you to be my maid? You're calling me a scumbag? Haven't you known what I am from the start? You begged for this. Don't think you can push your luck. You ruined my promotion by showing up at my company and making a scene. I haven't even started holding you accountable." Bookmark. Rona burst into tears. Ethan, impatient, dragged her toward the door, and that's when he saw me in the crowd. He froze, staring at me. Then, without a word, he dropped his gaze and continued pulling Rona toward the exit. "Let go of me," Don't touch me! Rona screamed, struggling with all her strength. She reached out and grabbed a steak knife from a nearby table and started swinging it blindly. Everyone in the restaurant was stunned. Ethan clutched his eye, blood seeping through the gaps between his fingers. Rona's face went ghostly pale, and as she lost her grip, she collapsed to the floor in shock. On the way home, my mom sighed. What a mess. 10 years of memories. And to be fair, back then, he really hadn't crossed the line yet. You were decisive to cut things off when you did, Ziyu. That took strength. I looked out the window at the scenery speeding by and gave a small smile. Some relationships age like wine, they grow sweeter over time. But others, time just exposes their cracks. It reveals the truth that maybe the love was never that deep to begin with. And when that's the case, cutting it all off isn't that big of a deal. Life keeps teaching me not to cry over spilled milk. No matter when it happens, it's never too late to start over. The end.